you know, like jumping into the jump rope, like
Yeah.
the right time. I still feel like because of what you brought in, like the needing to embody everything before you teach it, I'm in the loop of like, when do I jump in to like share the thing?
You are about to be informed.
And our recording is in progress. Hi, hello, everyone. I'm so glad that you guys could meet me today, all in the room. Hello. My cheeks are they're like constricting. I'm so excited. I'm like, can I open my mouth actually? Because this is so good. Okay. So this amazing panel of people that have coalesced here today are here because we all were curious of the question, what happens when four manifestors walk into a bar or, get on Zoom and see where the urge takes us. So with that being said, that's the only introduction I'm going to make. Everybody's going to introduce themselves, starting with myself. You guys all know me. I'm Jennifer Joseph Lehman. We got an addition to the name last year. And I am a 1-3 emotional manifestor.
Okay. So exciting. Like, I can't. Whew. I have this urge to take my slipper off and just be like, my name is Karen Lies, and I am a 1-3 emotional manifestor.
I forgot. Am I next?
You're next, Pipey.
Hi, hello. I am Piper Reynolds, and I am a 4-6 emotional manifestor.
Hi, I'm Violet Vang, and and I'm a 1-3 ego manifesta.
Got the chill. Okay, I'm starting us off with this question. When manifestors talk to you, does your body just light up? Like, I just hear a manifestor's voice and I'm like,
yeah. Yeah. Like, just keep talking to me. And it's so, like, the conversation is so easy.
The level of understanding.
I really enjoy it, like in a voice note setting. It'll just be like, it's like lobbing out. You're just like, blah, 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 and then blah, 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 and there's like there's no like load of expectation of like, I need you to answer my questions. I need you to do this. It's just like, here's what I've got. What have you got? It's like, it's very, it feels like being on the same team in sports.
Yeah.
Sharing notes.
Yeah.
We have the same playbook.
Literally that. It also feels like when I speak to manifestors, like to the point of no expectation around answer, response, etc. I just feel like when a manifestor is speaking to me, what they're saying is completely non-conditional.
Yeah.
There's like, I'm just putting this in the field. Like, scratch the word just. I am putting this in the field. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And I might have something to put in the field also, but that's the experience that I have when manifestors speak to me. And I don't feel that way when any other type speaks to me. Like, I feel that there is like, there's the either the hope for, the expectation for, or the held precondition that I will offer something in return. I will respond to what has been said, these types of things.
Yeah, I've been working through that experience because same.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been working through if I don't have a response, then I don't have a response. And like being okay with that in my body, because it does feel fucking weird, or it has felt fucking weird. But it, like, I'd say just in the last few months has been this process of like, can I be okay that I don't have a response, and this is all I am offering?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like uncomfortable because, if it's friends, like, I love you, but I honestly, like, I don't have a response. I don't know how to respond to this right now, or I don't have the energy to like go into what is going on and then come from there. It's like, it has become this whole process of like, oh, I don't really, I'm not there right now, so I'm just gonna let that be okay.
Yeah. Okay, I literally just it clicked in for me as you were saying that. It's like, in some ways, do we feel like everybody having cell phones kind of has impacted manifestors like in an intense way, in terms of like the instant connectivity, you should be always available kind of assumption that has been born out of everybody having the fucking internet and a communication device in their fucking hand, in their pocket.
Yeah. I mean, I get that like little kind of adrenaline anger spike if there's like a notification.
Yeah.
But I just have notifications turned off on like every single app.
Me too.
Because the practical tips for manifestor living.
I was about to say, that sounds like
fine.
That sounds like manifestor self-care 101. Like, absolutely no notifications. What?
Do not disturb mode.
Hell yeah.
You just press one button and then the things just like hide forever until you want to look at them. And then it's like, oh, there's a whole world. I also used to hate the read receipts and like the option to like stuff used to drive me fucking crazy, because I'm like, that's so lazy. Like, please respond to me. But the option to leave something not read, so I haven't seen this, so don't fucking at me later when you're like calling me or whatever. And then the ability just to be like, I acknowledge that you sent this, thumbs up, and if I have words for it later or whatever, then we'll come to that when I want to. But
so be it, right?
Yeah.
Because that brings me to another piece. Like, it takes bandwidth. Like, I would say a lot of bandwidth for me as a manifestor to respond. True or not true for y'all? It takes a lot of energy to actually go into the shape of responding. And no matter how much we've been conditioned to respond to people immediately, it feels very taxing on my energy body, especially if I'm not in the place, in the time, face to face with that person.
That part.
Especially if it's like repeated. Like I can take one question and I'm just a little bit like, but if it's like it's just, I just go into a blind rage, and it's not something that's like socially, it's not logical, it's not reasonable, but it in the body, it's like it builds this kind of frenetic, just like, please stop harass. Like, there's this line in the Rum Diary. Giovanni Ribisi's character says, "Quit hazeling me." I say that all the time. Like, just quit hassling me, please.
Yes.
Like, I don't have the capacity. It's a capacity that I just don't have the capacity to be like, reply.
For me, when I hear what you're saying, Karen, I'm just like, oh yeah, like anytime I'm in my world and focusing on or paying attention to or reading or contemplating whatever it is that I'm contemplating, your like request, your very simple, very polite, there's no problem with the fact that you texted me question is an interruption of my world and my experience. And this is very classic, like manifestor things, right? Like where our anger comes from the most is being interrupted.
Yeah. And I think like where it gets kind of hairy and difficult and where it's like helpful to have other manifestors to discuss with is it's just like the request isn't unreasonable or like trying to piss me off or whatever.
Yeah.
The anger of just like, ugh, like don't interrupt me can be really cutting and like hurtful to people, but it doesn't, it's not, I feel like that's where manifestors get this kind of like relational complexity where we're like, I'm just trying to do my thing and then I'm having this kind of visceral reaction to being interrupted, but it's not personal. And I feel like we have this weird kind of thing where like we can kind of separate that out as like this isn't personal because that's just my entire life experiences. When I get interrupted, I get a little like tense.
Yeah, like it's not about you, honey. It's the fact that I got interrupted. It's absolutely not about you.
But it can be really, I think it can be really challenging relationally and like particularly in like work relationships and romantic relationships.
Totally. I definitely feel that in my romantic relationship. Josiah's a emotional generator and it's just like the input that he brings into the field is very like all encompassing, and it's very like enveloping is a great word for that. And it's like interact, like he wants the quippy and the back and forth and and if I am not like open, present, willing to receive him in that moment, it's like, oh my God, everything you say, like what? Every little thing you say is making me angrier and angrier. And to your point, Karen, like my mantra for this phenomenon has always been like, it's not personal, it's mechanical. It's not personal, it's a mechanical reaction. Like when this happens, a chain reaction goes off in my body, period.
Okay, so I've been exploring this like in relationship because I'm listening to us like have this conversation and like it makes a lot of sense to all of us because we're manifestors. But I can see how that like it's not personal can come off so like piercing and like direct and like fiery, but I kind of see like a sharp sword. And I think like in my exploration with like learning how to communicate that in relationship at times has been like this people pleasy just like leaky energy and not so I guess like my question is how do we communicate that not in like like in a true correct way, but that feels loving for everyone.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm just gonna to help with this.
You guys do not know how much ChatGPT like opened my world last night. Like I think every person who fucks with ChatGPT, like you'll never forget the prompt that made you realize, oh fucking shit, you can help me. You know, because if you ask dumb questions, you get dumb answers, period. So like when there's a really complex, you know, and thought out and like, I don't know, I was fully in my emotional body. I was in emotional truth. I was saying just some shit to ChatGPT and it just gives me this fucking paper. And I'm like, I'm going to read this 300 times. I did not realize that you were holding this level, this high key of information, but that just is like, it's literally the power of the question. How good is the question, right? And now I feel like I've derailed us.
No, I think it was me.
No, that.
But I want to say,
okay,
like, the example with ChatGPT is, I don't usually cook. Like Jack, my partner, cooks more than I do. But if I'm cooking, it is like imperative that I'm not interrupted. And I do kind of crazy things. Like last night, I cut up a whole chicken like while it was in the pan cooking. Do you know what I mean? Like I just need to be left alone. And a couple months ago, I was like cooking and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make a curry in 20 minutes. And Jack, my beloved 3.6 projector, mental projector, loves to chime in.
Love him.
He's like, how are you going to cook a curry in 20 minutes? Like, I don't think that's a curry. And it was kind of like getting involved. And I got really disproportionately pissed off at that.
Yeah.
It might have even like, I probably told all my friends. I was like, this guy, what's he doing?
Who's this fucking guy?
Who's this guy? And, but then I was like, okay, ChatGPT, my 3.6 mental projector boyfriend is interrupting me while I'm cooking. I'm a 1.3 emotional manifestor and I get filled with blind rage. Then I can't cook. Oh. And ChatGPT goes, like, there's all this stuff. And then it's like, you could say something like, it helps me stay in my flow if you don't interrupt me. And I kid you not, last night I said that. And it was like I was doing some crazy shit in the kitchen, but it was a delicious meal.
Okay,
I was gonna say, how was the meal?
I wanted all that to happen, but to answer Violet's question, you informed them.
That part. And I realized that this is like, okay, at least for me, when I was starting my manifestor journey, owning and recognizing what are all the parts that belong to my mechanical experience, informing has been the most difficult piece for me because it also takes bandwidth. It's kind of like preemptive responding. Like before you ask me anything, let me just tell you what's about to happen. So it takes a few extra steps for me as a baseline, and already I'm annoyed. But like,
yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
But also like having to tell somebody else like the plan is so offensive.
It
you don't need to know this, but I need you to know this so you stay out of my way.
It's that. Like that.
So, like,
but there, I don't feel like there's always a stay out of my, like they don't always stay out of the way.
No, that's so true.
Because there's more questioning sometimes.
Yes. Well, that
like or needing to know.
Like, a little job. I'm just like so aware that I'm coming across as like this like elitist.
No,
okay. That is not my experience.
We're gonna have to have this conversation, y'all, because like ultimately, something that I have learned really deep this year is that anytime I am attempting to put myself in nice, in pleasant, in polite, in accommodating, in any of these types of shapes, it just creates more noise for everybody. I feel less respect for myself. I feel like I'm not being respected. But guess what? When my ass acts like an elitist asshole bitch to the general population looking on the outside, not knowing my heart, right? Exactly. People fucking love it.
It works.
People fucking love it. It works. So my answer with your question, Violet, is like, first of all, just disappoint people. Just disappoint people, because on one level, the big deconditioning piece for us is to say the fucking line. You already know this. Just say the fucking line. You have to say this. I don't like this. Get out of my way. Whatever. And like, I don't know. I teach emotional evolution, so I'm really here for the loving, creative response. Eventually. Like that's, to me, that feels like manifestor refinement, to develop a style of grace with informing that people are like already, nobody's even questioning that you're not being polite or how they expect you to to say something. Does that land?
Yeah.
Something that I've kind of come across pretty recently is that informing isn't linguistic. Like informing isn't actually about language or like the words that I'm saying. It's what it actually is happening is, because I often will, like, I have defined spleen, root, solar plexus up to my throat. So there's like a lot of definition moving up to the throat area.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I just have to start talking, and I'm probably going to say something that is like kind of off base from what I actually mean. But what that actually does is like open up the space between me and the person that I'm talking to, so that they can actually see in, like through the, it's like opening a window that people can actually see in, because otherwise you're just kind of like storming around in this kind of dense environment, and then like everyone's just seeing this kind of like, but they're not actually seeing the like the little kernel underneath that's just like, I would like some quiet time.
I need to be in my own energy field for a while, please and thank you.
I would like a fizzy drink and a snack.
Yeah, I completely resonate with that. Back in the day when I used to just get on Instagram Live for like 2 hours, like I would say that if you don't stay for till the end, you're like, wait, where do we start? What's this about? All that. But by the end, there's a whole symphony, a whole like full circle moment that occurs when a manifestor gets started talking, is free to monologue and arrive at this conclusion. What I've really struggled with in my experience is not showing my work in that way. When I show the whole process, there'll be some people who like can't listen to me or can't hang, but the ones who are correct for me, they're like, oh, I see how you got to all of this, and you connected all these pieces and points that I care about. And I honestly felt like that was a very good, a very correct open window for people who wanted to work with me. They like listen to a couple lives, see my style, and recognize that, okay, you're going to have to sit here for 2 hours, but it's going to be worth it at the end.
This feels very like chaos magic to me, but also like the natural workings of the universe is chaos, but there are these through lines through you, who is like a note in the symphony that pulls. You're like pulling these strings to create the whole orchestra that is like, I don't know, your story or your being in the world, or what you're bringing, really like your channel of God.
Yes.
That whole thing.
You know, is that, I'm sorry, I have to say this, but ultimately, are we not also wrestling with the fact that the majority of humans, the majority of the population, does not accept that we are all a living fractal of God? And so there's like just this deep missing piece of respect for one another.
Yeah.
Like that, ultimately, I don't know, but like, I feel like conditioning is wrestling with the lack of the assumption that we're all children of God and that we all, like, whatever I decide for me, I just got in full chills, my body, my way of using my energy and all that. God said that. Okay. Like, so do you have any questions? Well, that's wrong. No, I'm just kidding. But like, I'm just a little fractal of God doing my thing. What about it? Like, back off.
But I feel like also with the manifestor piece, like I often say, like, I'm just following instructions. I'm literally just doing what I'm told. But it's that like direct connection that we have with the unformed. It makes, like, I was weeping just now when you were saying that, because it makes it so it can, I think, especially like as an actual child, like growing up as a manifestor, it can be really painful to have just that direct connection that you're kind of like I think there's this kind of wonder that manifestors have because we have that direct line and we're just like, oh, whoa, like, whoa, everything's so cool, like we're all God. Wow.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so much of that kind of repression or not speaking to this kind of like depth of understanding that we have of that of the, you know, the the immaterial. It comes from just being like told, not like that's whatever it is that you're communing with. No. When you're little, it's like,
yeah, it's like, on like, from my adult consciousness, I'm like, this is offensive.
yeah.
And then my child consciousness is like, I am so fucking sad that I am constantly being told I'm wrong for following my urge. This is not like, I'm not like, you know, I really resonate with like the manifestor childhood experience being really difficult. That was true for me. My sister is also a manifestor. It's very true for her also. I think female manifestors also, it's another thing. But yeah, like, just you're bad, you're wrong, don't do that, you're not allowed, like, stop. You have to ask for permission first. Like,
how do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that?
Yeah.
Oh, you're just a smart aleck.
Yeah.
You're just a know-it-all.
I'm the teacher. You're not the teacher. And because it also, I feel like we all come from it's like such a place of innocence, of just like, God's whispering in my ear, like, I feel alive to share this. And it's like, you just like roll up to the function, you're like, guys, look at all of this. And it's like, no, what is that? Where'd you get that?
Okay, one time
I wouldn't.
The girl, she couldn't use my pogo stick, or I was like, how much do you weigh? Because it has a weight limit. And I was just like following the instructions on the box of my gift that I had just got. It was like my birthday gift or something, I don't know. And we're at like a softball party. I got scolded. I was gonna say I got in so much trouble, but like, they told me I was bad and wrong and that I shouldn't say that to her because, you know, like, offense and fat and blah, blah. But I'm like, literally just, she was like bigger than me. So I'm like, hey, like, don't break my shit, please. And then they like were like, ah, and then I like went and cried in the bed of my dad's truck for the rest of the party. Because I was like, I did it wrong. And I was just, it was like what the box said, bro. Like, I'm just relaying the information.
Literally, that could be like the slogan for manifestors. I'm just relaying the information.
Just following instructions.
Just following instructions.
I don't know how this works yet, but
literally. Okay. This is just popping up. So I'm going to say it, and I'm be curious to know where in your life you may have felt something similar. I have struggled with the conditioning around, I guess, like, for me, the coaching industry, where people are like, you should only teach something that you have mastered and that you are embodying perfectly and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I get information I don't even know when I open my channel. And it almost feels like the truth of my heart is that if I didn't say it before I was embodying it, that would be gatekeeping. But I
also wouldn't complete your process. Like, I think also very 1-3 coded. Like,
yes.
Like, I'm never going to get to the point where I'm a 6. Like, as long as I'm alive, I'm not going to be a 6 line. And to me, a 6 line is embodying what you know before you teach it. Like, you're never, honey, you're never going to be a 6 line as long as you're alive. You're always going to be a 1-3. So you're just going to be like, you only know, like, that. I think that's something so important for 1-3s is like, because I struggle with that as well, like, especially like working in the marketing industry. It's like, I can't like help anyone with that until I've like completed that. But the only way that you complete that is by doing
people with it, like actually doing it.
Like, but it's like, I think it's very 1-3 things of just like, I think, and also I don't know what I'm trying to remember, like right facing variables as well.
Yeah.
For me, like, I don't know what I know until I start speaking, and then it's just like, it just like the vocabulary will arise, or like something that I read 10 years ago will come up, but it's like, you actually can't consciously carry around everything that you know when you're at 1-3, because you're constantly like filtering information, trying to get to the root of things. And then you're like, you're just going to keep experimenting as long as you're alive.
Yeah,
literally.
I feel like I'm in that where, like, like jumping into the jump rope, like the right time. I still feel like, because of what you brought in, like the needing to embody everything before you teach it, I'm in the loop of like, when do I jump in to like share the thing? And so I'm still in the process of like letting myself jump in, because I'm watching the rope go and go, and like not knowing, do I know enough to say something?
Literally.
So that is still, I would say, like, something I'm deconditioning out of, that I haven't like felt like I've touched yet.
I feel like also with the coaching propaganda.
Very well said. Thank you. That needed to be said, just so everybody listening knows.
It kind of, I think it also implies that that value is exchanged, like in the way that a projector naturally guides people. That is like, it's like, it goes in, it's precise advice. It's kind of, kind of teachy, like, this is what I know, this is what I see, this is what I know, and here I'm going to impart the information to you. But there's like so many other kinds of value that can be imparted through the voice, which is like such a big part of what manifestors do. Like,
huge.
Like, this whole time we're not really, I wouldn't say any of us has been teaching.
No.
We're all just saying, well, this is my experience, oh, this happened to me. But it's like, we're kind of conditioned that has, well, there's lots of layers of conditioning with that it's like, you're self-absorbed, you're disinterested in other people or whatever. But it's like, there is a lot to be said for like personal storytelling and
Mhm.
even just like being entertaining and being expressive that has just as much value as being like helping someone get from A to B. It's not the only way to
Mhm.
be of service to other people. I think is really important for us to kind of
Well,
I
I feel
love
like
that.
too,
I
because
love
people
that.
want you to know. So um they want you to know definitively what you're speaking about. And if you don't know, then there's something missing, you're not smart, you're not whatever. But they need to like I had this experience when I was working at LC actually, where I had this idea drop in. We're in a meeting and I didn't know where it came from, but it was like, okay, this needs to be said. This was given to me to be said. And I prefaced and I was like, I don't know what this is going to look like, but I feel like this needs to be done. And then it was just like, what? Like, we're not doing that? Well, how do you think we should do that? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I literally just said that I didn't know how that should be done.
There's such courage in that. Like you don't know how that's going
to
to
me,
be
that's what like
received.
the Joker and the Fool and is all about is saying it even when you're not fucking sure. Like, hey, I might have heard this somewhere and it could help, but I don't fucking know. Take it or leave it.
One of the things that has like supported me in being able to just say the fucking line has been this mantra of like, I don't need to be right for it to be correct for me to say this. I do not have to be right. Like my emotional truth does not have to be the truth. My like reality, what I'm seeing, all of that, none of that has to be right for it to be correct for me to say it.
Yeah.
If the urge to bring something forward comes through, if I don't, I'm repressing and withholding from all of life. And so when I started framing it like that, I was like, you know, it finally allowed me to start being like honest with people because I've just been kind of like, I don't know. I just was carrying a lot of conditioning in my solar plexus, even though it's defined. Like I had a lot there of like not wanting to start conflicts, being scared of arriving at deeper truths. Like maybe this means that our relationship isn't working out, or maybe this means that like I have to leave this job. How scary, you know? Like
it's also so rampant in programming to lie and to not say your truth. It's insane how it's like every storyline is this thing. Oh my god, now I'm gonna hide it, or I'm gonna be passive about it, aggressive about it, and it's just like I've been watching a couple of different shows with my parents, and it's just wild how rampant and how okay everybody is with just like not saying your fucking truth. Like, bro, it's not like you're not gonna die, I promise.
And I think that the thing of like, I don't want to say this in case that means that something has to end. Usually not saying it is what actually brings about the end of something that you don't want to end.
Okay, wow.
and I get this, like, I just got this really strong image of like a stream, and then your voice is just like a stick coming in and pulling out the leaves so the river can flow. But like sometimes you're just going to be standing there with like a stick covered in like stinky old leaves, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
But you need to then have the presence to look down and go like, oh, I'm holding this piece of shit, but hey, the whole river's flowing again. That's like cool.
Yeah.
it's not always palatable. Like a lot of the times it's not palatable.
Yeah, if ever, I was gonna say.
Yeah. Me listening to myself, I'm like, oh my God, you know, like when it's coming out, but for some reason, and that's always my mind. It's always the conditioning of my mind and my mind's preconceived judgments and criticisms about like what a good person, good friend, good partner, good lover, good whatever, what they would sound like. So there's always that judgment mentally. But for some reason, I feel fucking peace in my body.
Peace, that's what I was going to bring in next. Yeah.
The peace that surpasses understanding. Like, I wonder if Jesus was a 3-5 manifestor. I really wonder that, y'all. Because like,
definitely a 5.
definitely a 5, right? Like this body had to be a 5. That for me is true.
That is true. I will confirm.
Right?
So like
Justin. It's Justin. Jesus had a 5 body.
What's that? JC?
Well, like if God has a telephone, then Jesus was definitely on the other fucking end of it.
Definitely. Okay. Literally. Okay, literally that. And like the throwing of the table, right? That is clearly manifestor coded.
I threw a table once.
Of course you have. Of course you've thrown a table. Okay. Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too. The peace piece. Shall we talk about the peace piece?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of, I'm going to use this language, it's kind of insane.
Yeah.
It's when real peace comes into my body. And I feel like I'm a fucking expert at peace because of how much time I've lived without it.
Mm.
So when it really comes in and the body sensation of it is like, it's full body release along with like being totally held and having like, it's like being jello, but also having like the straightest spine ever. It's like no amount of force could move me off of this center line. And it feels like the biggest gift of grace that I experienced through my body.
Yeah. I didn't know this until right now. But
This just
in. I've been having these experiences where I'm like, I'm in total and complete love with like this moment or with my life for no particular reason.
Yeah.
And am understanding now that that is peace in my body.
Mm.
And it's, I've been so like emotionally moved when I'm there. Like, there's no particular reason, but I'm in love with everything.
For me, it gives laugh cries.
For no reason.
Yes. It's totally the laugh cry, dude. I remember the very first time I needed to say something really inconvenient in a friendship after discovering, embodying, working with sovereignty. The very first time I had the guts, the willingness to say something to a friend that in my world, I was like, this is going to end things, like for sure. And I remember I was like crying in the gym, and it just like the urge hit me, like, you have to write a text right now. You have to say it all. And there was a part of my conditioning that was like, oh my God, that's like, this is big stuff. Like, you don't just say this to somebody you're close to via text. Like, how lame is that? You know, all this noise. But I was filled with like, the urge. I was filled with creativity. I was filled with like, channel open, here it comes, no holds barred, nothing held back. And I remember reading back that text, and the mind was just like, fuck. And my entire body smiled. I was just like, yes, all of this is a felt true experience. This is my emotional truth. Yes, I look like a petty bitch. Yes, I look like somebody who is fazed by stuff that I wish I wasn't fazed by. It looks like I'm counting things and like tracking what's going on in a way that makes me feel and look unseemly. And yet, just the radical ownership of that truth, no matter how much I thought that made me look like an image I just didn't want to portray at all in any sense. It felt so good and so correct and so true. Do you guys have any experiences like that?
Well, 1-3 emotional manifestor. Yeah. We're here to be a messy bitch, let's be honest.
Okay, like, please.
But it's like I know that so well, the sigh of relief. It's like you're leading up to, and it's kind of, I get a similar feeling when I need to rest, where it's like leading up to it, you're like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And then like the moment you're just like, okay, I'm gonna say the thing, or like I'm gonna lay down for 20 minutes, or like the second that you just kind of like submit.
Was it like riding the emotional wave of it, and then you have to like thrash and then submit?
Yeah.
Yeah, what came through my brain was like, literally, I have to obey. It's like, I have to obey the urge. I have to submit to something higher, bigger, more powerful than me. That if I attempt to resist this, I'm gonna die. So I can't love you if I'm dead, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe the most loving thing to do is to love my mechanical situation here, disappoint you so that we can all like thrive in the long term. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times though, it's that thing that you kind of raised earlier of like, oh, when you're like out in Gen Pop and you're just kind of being that like, do this, like, I often find the things that before I do them, I think are going to like disappoint people or like upset someone. There might be like a little bit of, you know, like when a stone like skims on the water, there might be a little bit of like kickback, but ultimately it's preferable for everyone involved if I'm being who I actually am, which is that like the wielding of the power that we like spoke about earlier. Just like it, because when we're not doing that, I think as manifestors, it can feel like if I'm not saying the thing that you're not picking up on it.
Yeah.
But it actually is just leaving a lot of room for people to misperceive your intentions or like misperceive your experience, because there is that disconnect between like what's going on for me over here and my like, I often think about it as a two-way mirror. It's like I can see out, but you actually can't see in.
Yes.
That the disappointment is more kind of long lasting if we are unable to say the thing that is like uncomfortable or difficult or not logical or like unreasonable. Like I got the word unreasonable a lot growing up. So you're being unreasonable, but it's like when we're unreasonable, it actually it kind of unclogs things so that we can meet other people with what's actually going on and actually return to reason.
Okay. I just felt this like manifestors being unreasonable contributes to the greater harmony every single time. Because, you know, my husband has a Pisces body and like he can feel if one energetic hair is out of place. And if I am in any way like withholding an experience that I'm having to be convenient, to, you know, cool girl, whatever shit I'm running up here, whatever is making me want to withhold it, he loses trust for me every single time, because he's like, what do you think? I'm an idiot? You know, like, like he's like,
you think I don't say that?
You think I don't feel you? He's like, you are just like this tsunami in the room. And if like if you're a predictable tsunami, then I can work with that. I can surf it. But like, if some part of the tsunami is like not doing its thing, now all of a sudden I'm feeling things that I'm not I can't track you. So that's our responsibility as manifestors to fucking inform what's true for us, what's going on for us, regardless of how inconvenient it is in the short term or long term. But ultimately, my experience has been anytime I'm willing to step up to the plate and be disappointing, it serves everybody on such a deep, deep level. I could never have seen it coming.
I like in the early days, I would just write letters. Like when I was when I was like, oh, I'm a manifestor, like I need to inform, and it just was not available
Totally
to actually say the thing, because it would be like, it's such an emotional backlog of just like years of just going like, no. That when you open, it's just like, but like, even like the text example that you gave, or just like writing a letter, just like, I am so angry. Dear diary. Beep.
I'm fucking pissed. I'm fucking pissed.
I'm pissed.
Yeah.
It's just like you can ease, I think, like you can ease into it as well. Or like another thing that I've been doing lately is just removing myself from environments where it's not where people can't hang. It's just like, okay, well, if you can't hang, that's, you guys have fun. Like, I'll be over here.
Yeah. That's it. Also, can we just say that's third line coded? Because like making and breaking of the bonds. Violet and I were talking about this the other day, and she's like, okay, so what do you feel about this? I'm like,
tell me about your experience.
I'm like, I've broken almost every bond I've ever made.
Yeah.
You have more questions? Like, you know?
I was like, no, I got it.
I call it Mary Poppinsing.
Say more.
It's like Mary Poppinsing. So Mary Poppins, she goes into the family, she sorts shit out, she initiates.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, Dad, you need to not be at work like 90 hours a week. What are you doing?
Yeah.
She's like, kids, you need a little bit of fun. Like, you're too serious. So she goes in, she sorts everything out. The wind changes and she's out of that bitch.
Bye. Literally
that feels so good.
Like, I can tell you so many concrete experiences of just like, I go in, I'm there for as long as it is. And I think, there's like a gene key, I forget which one, but the gift is commitment. But commitment is not committing to something until death. Commitment is putting all of yourself into something until its natural completion point, which means that you have to release control. So I feel like a lot of the rhetoric around manifestors being like masculine, you go out and get it, you like, you know, you're driven, you're just like, I don't think any of that's true.
No.
I think if anything, and maybe like this doubled down with the 3 line, it's just like a complete state of surrender, of just like, okay, life through my authority, through my solar plexus, is like driving me over here until the natural completion point, and then I will depart. And like, there's so many cases of people that I would be in close like daily contact with for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, and then never see them again. And just being able to, like, I think particularly if you like couple in with being a woman, there's so much like conditioning around that. There's so much room for shame to prop up, of like,
Totally.
Oh, I just like kicked them to the curb, or like
I dropped them.
Like, I'm cutthroat. But it's not like, it's never, I feel like I need to be clear, like, I've never been like, oh, I don't think that we're compatible anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like they just like bloop.
It's just over.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
they just
Or for
stop.
me, it has happened where like something happens and I'm no longer in the same response to it that I was before, and it creates this whole thing for them, and then it just unravels and like ends.
Yeah.
Like in friendships, it's like for me, it feels like the expectation to have been moving in one way, and when that's no longer true for me and I'm moving in another way, it creates whatever comes up for them, and then like we can't be friends anymore.
Totally. I've had that experience quite a few times where I like loved the person. Like to this day, reflecting on them, I'm like, oh my God, love her.
Yeah.
But like haven't talked to her in 15 years because her therapist was like, you probably shouldn't be friends with her anymore, because of all the things that she felt about how I show up in relationship. And a huge breakthrough for me came through last year because this third line thing has brought with it like a lot of shame about, am I a good friend? Like, do I just come into people's lives and ruin them? Because it kind of feels like a common narrative that I at least perceive from the other in these circumstances. And it just came through for me. Like it dropped into my body and it just changed the game for me. It was like, I'm not a good friend. I'm not a bad friend. I am the friend that I am.
Apply to any, like replace the word friend with like any role that you play.
Exactly. It's like, I do what I do. If that works for you, fuck yeah. And if there's disappointment and unmet expectations there, then okay. Like that
Which
must be
means
correct.
you don't get to control what happens. You don't get to control how anyone experiences you. You don't get to control who stays in your life and who leaves. You don't get to control how you're perceived by other people.
Literally, like my life changed when I realized, like, in terms of creating a life where you have to experience being perceived, if perceived is not in the passive role, you're fucked. Like, if being perceived is not a natural byproduct that I will never pay active attention to, you are going to experience a lot of unnecessary resistance, suffering, messy, right?
And like you also, if you're actively, especially with the controlling perception piece, like if you're actively trying to get something, whether it's like being if I'm like, see me, see, it's the only thing that does is like push everyone further and further.
Everybody's away.
Like
I will not see you.
I will not. But as soon as you're just like, I'll be over here, like being interested in me and what I've got going on, it's like, ooh.
Okay. This is really funny because I honestly feel like, I don't know if you guys have seen this trend online, but talking about like women and men in dynamics together, like, women, you're supposed to be the black cat. You're not supposed to be the golden retriever doing the chasing. I really think manifestors are the black cat of the types. Like, we're supposed to just be doing our thing. And yes, if we so choose, informing, clearing the way, helping people not have that like reactive distrust and destabilization thing that seems to happen when I move without telling anybody. But like, ultimately, I am meant to be in the world doing my own thing, initiating my own plans. I need to be in pursuit of something that has nothing to do with anybody else, really. I mean, it always includes other people, but ultimately it's just for me to be on the path. If I'm not doing that, all my relationships are fucked.
Yeah.
All of them.
It has to be like internally directed.
Yes.
And I feel like that creates, it's like natural inclusiveness.
I feel like
Because you're just like, by you just doing you, like that in and of itself informs the field of like, this is what I'm doing. And if you want to get on the train, then you get on the train. It's not excluding or including anyone who doesn't want to be.
Yeah. And that's where, go ahead, Karen.
If you take the train, like the internally directed train, and then you bring the piece
the piece
back in.
Yeah.
It's something that I've been realizing lately, which has been like, I'm still coming to terms with it internally and kind of like deepening in the trust of that. But you have to completely give up all foreign goals. So like anything that you've learned about what it means to be successful, whether that's like in business, whether that's in a relationship, whether that's like in your public life, like even aesthetics, you just have to like completely let go of anyone else's idea of what is correct, to more so than other types do. Because if you think about like a trend, it's very, if you're a response being, it's very natural for you to respond to like, oh, flared pants are trending this season, like, oh, that lights up my sacral, like, let's go. That's very you go, girl. Yes. But if you're just driving your train and saying anyone can come on the train if they want or not, you have to be like single-minded in steering your train.
Yeah. You're like, I don't care if cropped overalls are not happening this year. This is my thing.
Yeah. And like I just think that if I'm really in pursuit of peace, it's not that I become less ambitious. I still have ambition and I still have like desires and goals. But it's like with the caveat that everything is subject to change based on my internal position and what I learn, which might be doubled by having a open G center. Just like, you don't know me.
You thought you knew me at one point? You've never met me. You don't know who she is.
But it's like you're not gonna have the practice with 10 people working for you, or like wear the same suit every day that everyone else is wearing, or like whatever the fuck it is that you've learned is desirable or worth pursuing is just not true anymore when you're driving a train.
That for me feels so very real. Like so much has had to crumble around like how I used to perceive success. Being, yeah, I'll just leave that there. Like that has had to change for me so much, because what I thought, what I was conditioned to believe would make me successful, participating in that always made me feel angry. Going that direction, trying to work on that, trying to do that, like for like an undefined G center, the idea of niching down makes me like, I'm like, are you serious? That's the advice you have for me right now. Are you kidding?
I could never. I couldn't possibly.
And this is funny too, because like, oh my God. Yeah, I want to like I want to riff right now about like how buzzwords end up fucking us, because they mean something valuable at one point, but then they just become something that's completely invaluable. So like just in this example, using the word niche, like people think that means categorize yourself and stay within your category. But I was like looking up the word niche the other day, and it was like, a role or position or job for which someone is very well suited and particularly that they enjoy. I'm like, well, if people were talking about niche that way, I'd be like, okay, yes, everybody niche down, do your design, period, the end. Like, it's easy. Be yourself, you know? And I know that's the most frustrating advice to people, but like, that's the real thing. It's like, what am I suited for? What is my energy body actually suited for? The style of operating, the style of movement, not the category that I talk about or fuck with in my art or whatever. It's like, that's a necessary limitation. But if I know how to orient to anything that I'm interested in correctly for me, that is my niche.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. The golf clap.
Yeah.
Subject to change at any time.
Literally.
Not guaranteed or during rain or snowstorms.
No. I make
No
zero
refunds,
guarantees.
no exchanges.
Literally. Mm. I'm curious. Do we all have the experience, especially as children, but I would expect it to trickle into adult life? We all have the experience of feeling really misunderstood.
Mm.
Okay, so I kind of want to like, yeah, I want to explore like what has been the pocket of the manifestor experience that's been like, I don't know. I love going into pain. It's Scorpio season, bitches. What's been the most painful piece for you? Because I think in a lot of ways, because you and all of us have really made concerted, intuitive, or intentional, focused efforts on embodying our design and starting to live more correctly for who we are. But like how we come across today, and I'm just like holding this as a possibility, may not reflect how much pain is in the experience of coming to where we all are kind of arriving now. So if that sparks anything for anybody, I'd love to hear about that.
I feel like something for me is, and this was definitely true when I was a child, but also in my like early career life when I was working like full time in an open plan office, is the piece around timing and like my pace, and that I cannot keep consistent pace like day after day after day after day. Like as a child, it was things like it took me, like I learned to read overnight, but it took me years and years to learn to write. So on one hand, it's like I can move very quickly if it's something that is from that place of like internal interest and direction, and like where I've landed with it lately is like I just have to trust that I will do what is required of me from my own standards, but it's not something that I can ever like explain to anyone. It's not something that I'm ever celebrated for. Like if you go into a workplace and it takes you 2 hours to do something that takes someone else a month, that is not something that you're celebrated for, and it's not something that you're rewarded for. So it's like this time, it's more pace than timing. It's like I just often feel like either I'm going way too slow or I'm going way too fast, and I'm kind of having to try and like adjust my pace to make it palatable to people around me. And then also like how like we all are familiar with the rest cycle. And like I've been noticing lately that I have a lot of definition. I have quite a lot of consistent energy, but I need to, when I feel the rest, I need to rest, and then I'll very quickly cycle back into activity. But if like at points where I haven't had any rest, and I'm just like overriding that need for rest and overriding it, then it just like takes you down. And I think like all manifestors have some kind of experience with getting sick from that kind of, from trying to keep pace with and not to make it exclusively about manifestors, like I think in general, expecting people to be maintaining consistent input and output year round, when like where I live in winter, it's dark from like 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. It's like you're not going to have as much energy available when it's summertime and it's gets dark at 10 p.m. and light at 5 a.m. Like, is that keeping pace and then also like advocating for the value that I contribute that's not based on my labor. Which is it's not just it's like a whole thing with everyone at the moment, that it's like we're still running on like industrial revolution economics.
I was gonna say, because the world is moving like that, but the process that you were talking about is very natural to like the nature world. But we've built this world around that kind of pace that just is consistent and that continues to move and move. And like when little me was always like, oh, you're just lazy, right? And I grew up in a generator household. So my mom was always like going and moving. And then I think when I grew up and I kind of found that pace within myself, I was like, oh yeah, this is fucking awesome, because I'm keeping pace, right? And I'm doing the thing. But then I got sick. And my body completely like stopped. And then I had to rediscover, and still am, like, what is my pace and how do I communicate that in spaces? And that, I mean, when I claim that, like, I can trust my pace, there have been confronting experiences that I did have to like speak to and speak up to, but on the other end of that, like, I felt the space that I gave to myself. And it continues to open up this experience, like the manifestor experience for me, because I'm like, oh, can I really trust that my pace is correct? Can I really trust that my rest cycle, like, this is the rest cycle and I'm not just being lazy?
Okay.
Because that's what I mean about feeling like the confrontation, is that those stories are coming back up again for me to like really be with and ask myself, like, can I truly trust my pace? Can I continue to lean into that? Can I continue to choose into that? Because there's also the confrontation of the language of like, oh, you're just resisting, or you're in collapse. Like, there's that too. That is very confrontational in this exploration and experiment. Yeah.
I was actually talking to Violet the other day about the fact that I've only had generator coaches, and on some level it's like I can't help but feel like some part of me is still trying to be good to generators. And this is the very first time, because I'm like actively in someone's space who I love, I adore, and like so much of her wisdom is like just pure fucking gold. And at the same time, I think I would guess at least 50% of her takes on me are incorrect. That would be my guess. And what I'm discovering now is like, wow, maybe I signed up for this experience to finally be like, okay, I can hear that from someone that I've paid a lot of money to support me in a way that I want to be supported. I've chosen this. I've initiated this. They didn't come to me like, hey, can I get your money and I'll tell you what to do? No, I like felt called. There was a soul level like intrigue to the last person that I've hired. And I'm just like, dude, I think I'm finally here in this place right now to stand tall in all my good girl programming, which is basically like when narratives come up about like, you know, actually, maybe this is just some entitlement. Maybe this is just some laziness. I can like hold that and feel the places in my child consciousness where that's true. And then also with the nuance of knowing how I operate, be like, you know what? Yes, to the rest of the world. It's, yeah, I can do that. And the whole world changes. My whole world changes. So wouldn't it make sense? This word that people have come up with, lazy, right? It means like unwilling to work. I'm absolutely unwilling to work when it does not make sense to work for my body. That's very true. That's very true. So I'm learning like a nuanced way of being able to own what some people might want to layer on top of who I actually am and be like, I actually can stand fully in ownership of this label you feel fits for me and be like, oh yeah, that's totally true. And it works great for me.
Yeah.
I feel like also it's like something I was trying to touch on earlier, but I feel like I didn't quite land the plane. But if we're being honest, like we don't want what happens. We don't want we don't actually get it when we do the things that are you know, the antithesis of lazy. If we're working hard, we don't actually get the reward. Like that's what I've noticed in my own like work life specifically.
So true.
Is that like the harder I was working, the less I got, whether that was like fulfillment or interest or even money, which is like that is a triggering thing to say to people that work their whole life. Like the amount of time, like what are you gonna do? Like what are you gonna do next? Like I don't know. That's triggering.
Yeah.
The more that I work, the more money that I spend, because the more I need more food, I need more comfort, I need, you know, like comfort. I need to go to yoga class because my body's fucked from pushing it too hard. Like, and so when I did work consistently, I had no money. I mean, I had enough for what I needed, but it was very cyclical. And then I was sleeping like, I think last time I talked to Libby, she was like, last time we talked, you were sleeping like about 12 hours or something, because I was so done that I'd come home, eat dinner, and then passed out, or like pass out, wake up, eat dinner, and then pass out again. So it was just like work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep. And there was nothing really fulfilling happening.
No.
My work was not sure as hell not fulfilling.
And it's like, you know, everybody talks about like, you know, the hard work that pays off eventually down the line and all that. Who is down the line actually offering me the reward for the hard work? Really? Because for me, if I have to get to a result that I want in a vehicle that I despise riding in, I don't want to go there anyway. Fuck you. No, I don't.
And then by the time you get there, that shit's going to be broke down and you're not going to be able to enjoy the fucking pool or the slide or whatever. Like, you're going to be hobbling around like, I hurt so bad from my working days. I worked so hard, though.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of I was listening to Kanye's College Dropout when he's talking about, like, my dad has diplomas. You know what? You know what's going to keep me warm at night? Those degrees. And it's like... Yeah, it's gonna be great when I'm that old and can't move.
Yeah,
I look forward to it.
But there's like the other side of the equation as well. It's like asking for a friend. How does one get resourced when one is just doing whatever the fuck one wants any given day without like any regard for convention?
Okay, so this is like a sore spot, a rough spot, a tender spot for me, especially since getting pregnant. I have no shame about expressing this because I've tangoed with it so many times. I know the dance very well. Being a mom and being a manifestor is very difficult for me and my energy body. Like, there is an essence inside of me that has so naturally blossomed into motherhood. And yet I can feel the separation between that and the toll it takes on my mechanical reality. And I would say that I am very well resourced with positive expansive perceptions, which are a wealth class of their own. So being able to hold the fact that my body has taken on a lot of wear and tear over the past 2 years it can exist in the room with the fact that I fucking love being a mother, and parenting is one of my favorite fucking things in the world. And I'm like, there's a part of me that's like, dude, if I don't do another thing again, I put Charlotte Wild on the planet. Like, gift. My gift has been given. You know?
Pay her.
I'm here to collect. The child mentioned a check. But the truth of the matter is, my fucking bag has basically evaporated over the past 2 years. I feel more in my purpose. I feel like I've become more me in the bamboo growth kind of style. Like, it feels like the kind of bamboo that takes 5 years underneath the surface to shoot down these roots that go to the fucking core of the earth, essentially. And then one day, 5 years later, it sprouts so high and so tall and it's so strong overnight, seemingly. And seemingly. And I very much feel in the bamboo growth stage right now. And it has been like, I've experienced so much resistance. I've experienced so much projection of all the places left over inside of me that believe I'm wrong and bad for slowing down to the extent that I have, pursuing joy every day instead of work, right? And allowing myself to be provisioned for by a man. So it's been like beautiful and the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And so I am still holding the thread that the more I own this time and the more I enjoy my time, while it makes no sense how I'm going to make money, I feel like I must be on the shortest timeline for when the resources that I really require and desire in my life will show up. I have to be fully surrendered to that, because otherwise, like, the conditioning will win. The conditioning would win on this one, you guys, because it's so strong. So that's my take.
So glad I asked.
Yeah. And okay, I also want to say there's a there's been this
I just want to say what I felt real quick.
Okay, come through.
Because in all of what you said, I can feel how like abundant and resourced that way of being is. And even though the like the physical money isn't here yet, it's there's a lot of money in that.
Yes. Oh, I just got chills.
The non-taxable good.
Like there's like so much there.
There's a lot of hard work as well. It's just not the work that you were sold as growing up. It's
that
just a different kind of work. It's
right.
And I
Violet
think,
and I had that conversation about like, do we really need to be this fucking thing to be like successful, to be wealthy, to be like, do I need this whatever it is, coaching business, website, blah 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 blah. Like, can I just be content to live my fucking stupid simple life and like love the people who are in it around me?
And like 97% of our work is intangible as manifestors, in my opinion. It's
Literally.
Like it's not going to be anything that I make.
Which is why we need to be paid just for showing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
opening the lines are open. Call 0800 manifestor.
Call
I have been waiting the whole time to say that.
Listen.
Pay me to
this
show up
something else
and
you're
then
gonna
pay
bring
for
in
my
June.
labor. It's a double. I'm gonna need 2 checks.
Here's the thing. Once upon a time, we were like rulers. We wielded our power to like literally be the pawn masters, like move the pieces on the board. Okay. And now that like the time, the era where that was an appropriate role for us has passed fully. Like it's done. It's over. It is not coming back. There will not be a resurgence of, okay, manifestors are running the show again. That's not what we're here to do. So the only other archetype right now that's really making sense for me with manifestors is the muse. Like if you think about this, muses show up and things start happening. The magic starts happening. Okay, I just got chilled all over my body. And there's something about muse energy for me, which is very much like you put the hard work in up front and privately. It's private. It's private and no one sees the work that you do. But when you show up, the whole room turns on. Like I was thinking about just even like an artist's muse, right? Like that is a gal. Like how does an artist muse get discovered? That gal has put the time, the energy, and the effort into beauty in her own life, making herself beautiful from the inside out, tapping into radiance, tapping into the joy of life, tapping into vitality, tapping into the flow and the magic, and putting herself out there. And in that kind of preparation, in that kind of efforting, she positions herself to impact someone who values her. So it's almost, this is a little reminiscent to how I've always felt people talk about projectors, or how I've even talked about projectors, is like, you have to be prepared, meaning you have to be in active pursuit of the things you want to be excellent at. Otherwise, who can recognize you? And I almost feel there's like a step to the side with manifestors. It's like we have to harness our energy to make real beauty through our vessel. And then we have to be out in the world initiating experiences we want to have in places we want to have them. So the correct people, the correct patrons can find us and be like, girl, I want to pay you just to hang out with me. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do not feel that far from that experience. Like, every day I think about, like, I'm in the grind with motherhood and I'm like, I'm working on messaging over here. I'm like, how do I message to find that person, right? In the interim, while I'm not really out in the world. But when I hold that as a possibility, I'm like, oh, like I'm 3 events away from that experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so the less that manifestors stay in their head wondering, when is it going to happen? And the more we dip in to our vitality, our joy, our non-cognitive enjoyment. Like, y'all, I just started rollerblading. This is the best decision I've ever made in my life. I walk Charlotte, me and her with her stroller. I'll walk her to Sloan's Lake Park. And then I put on the new Blood Incantation album and I skate around the entire lake. And the entire time I'm thinking nothing. And every once in a while I go along with the lead singer. I'm like, oh, and that's it. That's all that I do. And it's one of the most clearing out things I've experienced in such a long time. So that's my embodiment of it without any evidence that that's what's going to be the thing that makes me money. But this is like the ripple effect that manifestors have. It's like, what are those little choices that we make that make us come more fully into ourselves, be more like in our own story, that we're not like really considering other people's story of us.
Something that helps me anchor into like my own story or like my self-perception is getting feedback from a range of people and realizing that everyone is like completely different. It's like if any one of us shows up into a room, everyone there is going to have like a pretty different experience and perception of that. So it's like once you really kind of get that, it makes it a lot easier to just show up like as the talent and just be like, I'm here, like I'm here for the show. And like you guys can all have your own experience of the show. Like everyone's going to take something different away from the film.
It reminds me of that meme with the guy in the corner and he's like, they don't know that everything turns to dust. And they're like, yes, we dance anyways.
Yes. Oh, that's a huge, it's a huge thing, I think.
It's like becoming your own focal point. And I think one of my mentors often says like, just you need to be way more self-involved. Like just get way just like you think you're self-involved. No, like go be more. And especially if I'm like going out like trying to get something from someone else or try to be like validated in some other experience. It's like the moment that you stop doing that and just be like, oh, what's interesting? What's my solar plexus like rolling over towards today? And then doing that, that's what actually makes us
magnetic.
People in. Yeah. But it's not, I feel like I keep kind of saying this, but it's not, it's just, I feel like the human design rhetoric is like, here are all the types like this, and this is how you move through the world. It's like, but not like, there's actually a lot more distance between the conventional way of existing in the world and what's kind of like normal and celebrated, and like that kind of general conformity that is encouraged like through schooling, through workplaces, whatever.
Yeah.
Even like between the four of us, how that's going to look is going to be like even between like Jen and I, we have the same like 1-3 emotional manifestor
Literally.
keynotes. Even within that, it's like we are very, very different, and what's going to look correct for us is going to be very specific and very different. But it's like that is the actual point of human design.
That's the whole last point. That's the whole point.
It's not gonna look, it's not gonna be, I think for me, like I find myself a lot of times trying to go into like, okay, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna be? Like, what's my next role? Like, what's my next role that I'm gonna take? And it just does not, it's not of my concern, quite frankly.
Yeah. Because especially what you shared just a minute ago about like how everybody's going to have a different perspective, a different perception of you, a different experience of you. You may be playing a different role for every single person in the room. That's been one of the like, it's been a deeply painful lesson for like the remnants of people pleaser that's like totally alive in my body in terms of supporting people on the path of self-discovery. You know, if I had to blanket what my work has been about over the long term, it's like helping people realize they have choice. And the first and most important choice is know yourself. Like the shit hasn't changed since the Oracle at Delphi. Okay. Like it's literally go in, get clear about who you are, and have a skin to skin contact with the truth of who you are, and lay down conditioning in layers as you can. And it's true. But like what I've discovered is like, even when I'm giving like, I feel like I am so on, this is lighting me up, it feels amazing, I am still disappointing 10% of the room. I am still not giving those who seek like general forms of connection and collaboration. You know, my monologue style is not giving them the connection they were seeking with me, you know? And that doesn't erase my experience of like, this is the truest I could be. And so that has been a huge thing that I've been diving into during this, what I would say is my very first like multiple year rest cycle. Like since becoming pregnant, it's felt like I've been in a rest cycle. And right now I'm starting to get the urges to ramp something up. And wouldn't you know it, my whole direction is changing because of everything I learned in the fucking rest cycle. And I'm recognizing I have to work in a completely different way because I'm in this for the infinite game now. I don't want to do the trendy thing. I don't want to do the thing that's going to make me the quick buck. I want long lasting accumulation of resources and the ability to more and more powerfully circulate resources, right? Like I ultimately don't want to accumulate just to be like, I can say I'm a millionaire. That's not ever what I'm about. Like what I'm here to do is I want to invest even more in my values. I want to invest even more in my good time. I want to invest even more in my health and well-being. Period.
Yep.
And like so much of it as well is, you know, if you think about us as like the first domino, it's like, what are we genuinely motivated to do is to move energy.
Yeah. I think I was talking with Violet about this the other day. I was like, I would guarantee you, or guess, those are very different things. Both. I would guarantee that the majority of the things that feel like stalled, backed up, or whatever stuck in the world are the results of like manifestors not just saying the thing, Manifestors not just being in their shit. Like we're like the conditioning has us trying to orient to and center others in our lives, when really if we were just like even more self-involved, and I know 1-3s we feel like we're the most self-involved people, but that's literally like what our role is. It's like your job to do that. If you're not doing your job, like other people can't receive the stimulus that they require to fucking mutate and evolve and learn different social skills. My interest in human design is not just so like my generation can self-actualize. Like I care about that, but it doesn't stop there. I care about the next generation not even having to fucking deal with people pleasing programming. Like, come on, like this is a bigger thing than me just getting my way. Now that's the that's the starting point for me, because how else am I going to get on with this very hard work of shrugging off conditioning and social norms and niceties and being a good girl? Like what else is going to motivate me other than like, this is what I really want to do actually. And maybe it makes me a little bit naughty. You know what I mean? Like,
but self-involvement, the result of self-involvement is intimacy with life, which is involvement with life.
Okay.
You know? It's like they don't tell you that at school. They don't tell you that like the more you understand the kind of, I guess, like interconnectedness, and that the slightest movement over here is always having impact down the road that like you might not see. And I kind of like, in this, like, it's quite deep cut human design, but there's this thing about like and I guess I'll just say it in my own words, but it's like, to me, generators serve life, projectors serve people, reflectors kind of serve time, I would say.
Yes.
And but manifestors serve the program, and the program is just like a scientized word for God.
Something just happened with my diaphragm. Like it like lowered like 4 inches or something. That was a new phenomenon of sensation. That was an attunement, a calibration, recoding. And that's like, that's literally the embodiment of the voice, right?
Yeah.
Let me come in and click, 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 click.
Yeah, I'm opening my energetic chiropractic.
I would come. I want to come.
I just want to say, like, to what you were bringing in earlier about, I don't remember all the words. But you're already doing that because Charlotte.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's all of what you said.
Yeah. But it's yeah. She's so herself, and like she knows her yes and knows her no, and you can feel in her body there's no resistance to expressing that. And we simply honor her yes and her no. Of course, there are moments where parenting and leadership has to supersede a no, but that's only, it is time for bed. You will take a bath. Things that are, listen, I let her go a really long time without a bath because she is very much not about the bath right now. And I'm also not, I am not about, overdoing it for what? For like, oh, I've got a dirty baby. No, like, but every 2 weeks she should have a bath, y'all. I just say. So this is a bitch who like runs out in the dirt freaking every day, picks up every greasy thing her dad has failed to put on a surface, not on the ground. And so, other than the like this is what is happening with our whole family stuff. Like, we're leaving now, we're going now. And there's almost no resistance to that, like, ever. She is very, that's what our energy body, our collective energy body is doing. So yes, like, I'm coming, you know? We just really honor her yeses and her nos, like full fucking throttle. And that is the bravest kid I've ever met. She's just such a light and so free. And it's one of those things where you're like, as a mother, I'm like, am I being just like ridiculously biased, or am I tooting my own horn here? But like, honestly, that's the best child on the planet right now. Like, that's the best child on the planet right fucking now. Yeah. Fight me, anybody. I don't care. Like, she walks into a room and people are just like, a star is born, you know, like they like receive her in that way. And I don't know if it's like, she's got the right angle cross of the alpha. She has the alpha channel. She has the channel of mutation. Like, she's just like on and alive and with it. And she's just fully here. And it's
her skin glows.
Literally. She's 15 months old and she fucking skateboarded yesterday, y'all. Like, I'm sorry, but like
casually skateboards. Okay.
And she's just like,
yes.
Just so grounded. She's just so grounded, man. Like, I don't know. It's one of those things where like feminist programming is definitely in my mind, even though I'm like consciously, I reject all of that. But like, it's there. And the part of me that's like, oh, I should get much more fulfillment from like my creative work or like whatever than from the role of being a mother has, it seems stupider every single day. I'm like, I have literally ushered into reality a whole new universe. And because she is female, she can create more universes. Like, what the fuck is that about? That's a fractal, is what that is. The biggest impact I think I will ever have is on Charlotte. Like, I feel that's true. And with my personal, you know, destiny, that makes total and perfect sense, which is not to say I don't actually deeply desire, crave, and yearn for creative work that offers me a similar level of fulfillment. I do. That is also true. Those both get to be in the room together.
Mm-hmm. That's like
and
a beat I've been on lately is just like creative life and home life, or like creative life and work life are not in opposition. Can we just like lay that down? Like, they're not competing.
No.
Yeah.
And there will be times when you're oriented more towards like one area, but it's just you know, when a bird's in the sky, the garden's not like get with the program, people. Get with the program.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also it's just like there's kind of the myth of life is short. You know, life is very, I don't know if you guys have this, but, and I don't know if this is a manifestor thing, but like, I feel like I've been alive for a really, really long time.
Oh yeah.
Not in any kind of, I don't mean that mystically. I just mean like 30 years is like a long ass time. Like, a lot has happened.
I feel like I've literally lived 3, 4, maybe 5 separate, full, complete lives in this lifetime. And I just turned 36, you know, I feel like so much has moved for me, even though a lot of my life has been lived horizontally. You know what I mean?
Yes. When you're in hyperdrive, you have to lie down. Otherwise, like, gravity will like melt your face, so you have to lie down.
You can't like be all upright, like when life is going that fast through you. Like you just can't. And I like, okay, there's two things I want to say here really quick. Like ultimately, the threat, I'm going to say this like this. The threat of my potential has always been looming over me. Like you could have done more. You could be more already. You could, because I know like when it's time, I can go and like, here's a whole new world. Like here's a whole new life. How did I get that? I don't know. I actually don't. So there's a sticky place in me still that feels like because of this capacity to completely transform life in record time, that like there's like an expectation I should be doing that all of the time to be of value. And I'm like, dude, no one could be in relationship to you ever if that was what you were doing all the time. You can like lay back for a couple of years. Let things find you. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's too many J's. Strap in.
Yeah, exactly.
Like your teeth are chattering.
It's like all blood, the wind's blowing your face back.
Yes.
Yeah. And that kind of circles us right back to the whole pace piece. The pace, piece.
Pace. Probably sounds the same when I say it. The piece to the
Yeah.
pace.
It totally does. But yeah, I just feel like just because we can make things happen at the speed of light doesn't mean that we should sustain that level of electricity. Like, why did we one day just assume that? And that is literally an industrialized mindset, right? Like, you should come in every day, clock in, and give us the same output, because we're giving you the same input, same paycheck every week. So you better, like, normalize and standardize the way that you show up. And a lot of our peers, just meaning people that we are connected to, are still deep in that conditioning and programming from the industrial world. We're in it. We just know through our bodies how incorrect it is. We're like the first domino to figure out that the industrial world would kill us if we don't evolve and mutate out of that.
I feel like also like 3-line body and even like pi being 6-line, like the first 30 years is operating like 3-line. That if you like set all the industrialization aside, it is kind of like riding a skateboard. Like if your whole kind of like gameplay is centered around falling over, it follows that every time you fall over, you need to like sit the fuck down for a little while and like put a band-aid on your bruise and kind of process like, oh, I made a mistake there, like that didn't work out for me, and like take that. There's like, I think it's not to be underestimated how much learning happens in the rest cycle and how much like processing and how much our conditioning arises into the like resting kind of creates a vacuum that then brings up whatever is to be met. But if you have been repeatedly not having those times of vacuum, then your rest cycle is going to be completely dominated by past pains and like things that hurt and things that you're like unsure about, that then at the end of that you're still not actually rested because you just spent the whole rest cycle like, woe is me.
Literally.
Like wallowing. But it's kind of, it's not to make any of that wrong, but to kind of, I guess, just like commend us that there's a certain amount of work to just get to the point where you can have a rest cycle that is actually restful and peaceful.
Wow. Yeah.
Because like at least for me, a lot of times when if I'm not being creatively productive, I will have all this like emotional backlog that arises to be met with. And then like that sometimes will have creative outputs, but more recently it hasn't had the creative output, it just becomes more like more vacuumy the more that you do it.
Yeah, that's hi. Charlotte just entered the building. Do you have any skate shoes on? Hi. 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 You want to come up here? Oh, yeah. Hi. Say hello. Yeah, there's something about the rest cycle that's like the only thing that we're actually meant to do is hold the empty space. But like you were saying, that vacuum thing is the experience of a vacuum is like we abhor it, we want to fill it, and whatever leftover conditioning, programming, unresolved, unmet, unfelt stuff is just going to fill that space. And I guess the way I've learned to deal with that, and obviously I don't embody it perfectly, like we've talked about before. Oh, you want back up? I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, yeah. We will do that very shortly. Is like, can you at least look at what's coming up and practice like not being reactive to it?
Yeah.
For me, that like neutralizes the charge in the field, and it's like a free radical kind of like drops out of the experience. If you're still in that space of like judging what you're seeing coming up in that rest cycle, then we tend to loop back in it. And this is like the rest cycle extending and all these kinds of stuff because you're not in acceptance of what's coming up there. Yeah. Final words before we wrap this experience up. This has been so amazing. I could literally lose 2 more hours with y'all. And I got this girl here now.
My final words is just, it's like how energized I feel about being in a room with just all manifestors. Like my body is locked in and ready to go. Usually after calls, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to lay down.
Yeah.
I need to lay down.
I gotta fucking go. Done. We're done. Yeah, we're done. Right. We're done.
I feel like my final words is just play your own game.
Okay. Because it does really feel like at this point on the life journey, y'all, like playing someone else's game just isn't sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so practical. Like you just can't do it long term. Like you can play around, you can do it a little bit, but long term, it has to be your own energetics. It has to be like what feels true for you. And it has to be you being authentic in your choosing for it to be something that actually lasts. Do you want to get down?
Yeah.
No, okay, you stay here. Oh.
I got nothing.
Cool. I felt the completion energetics, but I was like, I'm gonna let her initiate and inform us.
Do I have something? I don't know. Is there something? Nope, there's nothing.
Shall we do it again?
Thank you for the space.
Yeah, I would like a recurring.
I was Lisa.
Yeah, Me too. I had some ideas that I wanted to drop in about it.
Get on WhatsApp immediately
Yeah.
after this and let us feel it all, because I'm so
Okay.
game. This felt so good and easy, and it's like all the things I really care about and all the things I really want to talk about with people who understand the language. So like, yeah, just all the boxes ticked for me today.
I also just remembered once I started a WhatsApp group with Violet, I like put Violet and Pi in it. And I was like, this is my manifestor group. And then I deleted it. I like backtracked. I was like, oh, whoa, I didn't inform. I just like, and then we started it again. And now it makes me happy.
It's my favorite space on the internet. All right, my beautiful manifestor babies. I love you guys so much. This has been very nourishing. My deep desire is that it's just a window into what is possible with in the full spectrum. I don't think that any life worth living is like wholly positive or a wholly easy experience, but there can be peace and there can be satisfaction, and there can be success, and there can be delight on the journey. And I think that is actually the purest thing that any of us could hope for. So,
Amen.
and so it is. Okay. Well, I love you all so much. And we will definitely do this again sometime soon. And I'll see you all in WhatsApp.
Yay. Love you.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.